Hello everyone, so today I'm going to show you how I self-study Chinese, okay? So currently I'm planning to go study in Taiwan, so the Chinese that I am practicing is called 繁体字. So currently I'm using this book and I am on lesson 14 right now, and as you can see, first of all I am gonna read these topics, what this chapter is all about. And yeah, this is kind of like the dialogue. I first of all read all of these and underline what I don't understand. These are not my markings, these are the ones that my friends did, because I'm using her book. But yeah, you can follow this rule. If you have for example, you don't understand this word 工作, then you can underline it, and then you can just like look it up on the internet. And what I would do is I would have a notebook on the side, right? And then this is what I do. I will write down the chapter, and I will write down what is the word that I don't understand or I don't like really get it, and then I will write the what do I call it? It's like we call it 注音. I think there is two kinds, 注音and 拼音. The one that you guys use, like bo is like bo, yeah, right? Fa is fa and something like that. And yeah, it's called it's how you read it, right? The sounding and the meaning of it. So this is how I do it. And then after finishing the whole chapter, I would write each word for each line, right? I will write it out, and this is how I memorize things. And this is how I actually study Chinese. After studying like this and memorizing everything, I would write out all the English meaning on the side, and then I will close this book and like test myself again, and I will correct myself. If this is correct, I won't do anything. But if there is a word that I wrote it wrong, I would mark it in red pen, and I will write that word again several times, as much as I can, right? And yeah, that is like the first section. Because like my memory sucks a little, so I have to do several revisions. So this is how I do it, right? So I got first revision, second, third, fifth, 8th, 13, 21. And how do I dissect is there is 1 day in between, and there is 1 day in between, and here there is 2 days, and here there is 3 days, and here there is 5 days, and in between here there is 8 days. So this is how I revise it. I find this work the best for me after 20th time. I'm confident in myself that I totally remember these words, these vocabularies, right? So this is how I will study Chinese for now, and I'm sharing it to you guys. Okay, so after reading all of these, if you flip my book over, they got vocabulary sections. So this is what the textbook does for you. If they list out the things that they think the students are gonna be not understanding or have difficulties with, but my level is a little bit higher than this because this is never true. So some of the words I get it, but some of the words are still a little bit difficult for me, or like I'm not sure. In that situation, what I do is I rip up a paper. I usually rip out a paper, and then I won't look at this side, the Chinese words, and I will only look at the English sections, and I will write down what I think the Chinese word to this is. And then after writing everything, I would check it with the Chinese side, and if there is a word that I don't get it, I would write it in my notebook. This is where these lists comes out, right? So yeah, I'm gonna do that. Okay, so this is a very rough yeah, I don't really like do aesthetic in my studies, so this is what I come up with. I like tested myself, and these are the words that I'm not confident in myself, and some words that I got it wrong. So, and these words are gonna be like these words are gonna be written out like these, and I'm gonna memorize them and test myself again. And after the vocabulary session, normally there is another reading session. So this is very similar to the dialogue session that we did in the first part, but this is a little bit different because this is not like the dialogues kind of, not a conversation kind of writing, but it's kind of like an essay style writing. So you're reading everything, and the same goes with the first conversation style. There is the vocabulary sessions, and I'm gonna cover this Chinese word parts, and I'm gonna test myself and memorize the words that I'm not good at. Okay, and here's the grammar session. Normally they have grammars like 4 to 5, 6 at most grammar in one chapter, and this is where you learn the grammar patterns, right? So here what I normally do is I don't really focus on grammar. What I'm really focusing on right now is increasing my vocabularies and getting to know Chinese words better and recognizing what each words and each character means, right? So what I would normally do is I don't really focus on remembering the correct, the exact grammar pattern. What I do is I would read out all of these, and if there's a word that I don't get it, I would write it in the notebook this notebook, right? So yeah, I would read out all of these, and there are some exercise parts that you can do in the textbooks, and I would normally write it out. And if there's a word that I know in my head but I don't know how to write it out, I would Google search it and then write it in here and memorize it again, right? So these are the exercise sessions. These acts more of like a reading session more than a grammar session for me. And another exercise, another reading, exercise, reading, exercise. And the last part is where they're gonna explain all of these in English at the end of the chapter, right? Because this book is used by a lot of overseas Chinese and like international students too. So there will be some people that are not very good in Chinese, but yeah, if they don't get it, they can just read these and they will get the meaning of the sentences, right? Of the textbook, there's normally a classroom activity session, and this acts more of like a exercise session for me. Normally, if these books are used in classroom, these are what you do with your classmates, and this as like a classroom activity. This is what the teachers normally gets the students to really use their Chinese, right? So I would just fill out the parts that I could. If I can't, I would just leave it. Yeah, these are the activities, and I would do these. And at the end of the textbook, there's a little bit of an explanation about Chinese culture, more towards Taiwan, of course. So they will explain about Taiwan food, Taiwanese culture, the weather. Yeah, so we call it 文化. 文化 is like culture, right? So this part is like that, and yeah. So basically, a chapter is done in this way. And after this textbook is done, what I would do is, this is like a textbook, right? They have another section where this is kind of like a workbook, right? 作业本 is like a workbook. And what I would do is, I was already at chapter 14, right? So I would turn to chapter 14, and this is like a Anyways, the first part is a listening session. So since I don't have the audio and I'm not currently in classroom, I'm just doing self-learning. So I would skip this part, and for this part, I would read all of these sentences. And if there's a word that I don't know, I would again search it on the internet and mark it in my book, and then I would memorize it. So all of these are done. These are the matching things. I would do that. And the fill out things, the grammar pattern, they test you grammar patterns. And because this book is not mine, and I typically borrowed it from my friend, and she is from that school, so this is what the teacher would this is what the book looks like when the teacher have corrected their homework and exercise. And what I like about this workbook session is normally at the end of the chapter, so yeah, as you can see, it's already chapter 50, so it's at the end of the chapter, there's always a writing section, right? So the writing section, as you can see, they will tell you to write about something. They will give you a topic to write about, and they will state what kind of words they want you to use. Sometimes they will state more than one or two kinds of grammar patterns, and you can use that in your essay writing. So I think that's a really cool part of this workbook, because
I wanna hold them like they do in Texas, please. Fold them, let them hit me, raise it, baby, stay with me.